Also, this is the Forage Finder. When you successfully open it, you will see the information. This is the introduction information, and the Forage Finder provides a list of recommended forages that are available in Kenya. And this list can be added or been contributed by other partners and has been contributed by NEADAP, SIAT, and CALRO. And I'll just dive to the list that we have. And on the list, we have about 70 varieties. And if you see, for example, from number 1 up here, this is maize. Their common name is maize, but there's a commercial variety name or the codes that it's used. And you can have several columns, such as if the forage variety is being raised or cut and carry. You can see if you can make hay from it, silage, and the minimum and the maximum altitude that they can be planted. And you can find more of the columns as we go. I'll show you the examples of how you can see more columns, such as limitation of the crop. And the first information here on the browser is where you see a summary of forage. For example, this is forage row 11. So you can start even from the first one, that is the second row. And you can see this is the maize, and then the information that have been set to appear or be visible is until the minimum altitude and the maximum altitude. So you can even scroll to the last one, and you can see, for example, this is sunhemp and other information that you can find about sunhemp. So on the browser list is where you can get one by one information about this forage. So the select column, on the select column, the column that are visible are the ones that I have ticked on. And you can add several here. You can say select or deselect. And for example, if I had one that is the limitations about a certain crop, and you say okay, it will be added on the last end here, whereby more information can be added in future due to other organization or ourselves contribution. There is the forage seed distributor. When you click it, it will open on a browser. It's a website. This browser has information about the website or social medias for the distributors of these seeds varieties, such as, for example, here, Advanta Seeds and others. That one has automatically opened when I clicked if you have internet. So for more information about how to open and how to use this, you can find it on the user manual. But I believe when you downloaded these softwares after registering, you found a user manual in Word, and you can use it to help you move around. So there is another option here, which is the forage website. And this will give you more information about each forage in a website, such as if it's an annual forage crop. Example, maize, when you click it, you'll see that Feedipedia opened. And this is some information about maize, green forage, whereby you find the description below here. Is the description about the maize. There's the nutritional aspects, and the most importantly, nutritional tables, which shows you the dry matter, crude protein, and other nutritional values. And nutritional value for every kind, like this one is the fresh part. You can say the silage part or the whole plant. All the information, you can find them under that link that you've been shared. So that is about the Forage Finder. And a lot of information will be shared more. If you have any question, you can leave so that I see what I've not covered. And maybe, Wim, you can add as I move to the Forage Cost Calculator.
Yes. Let me stop you here and ask one question that came up in the chat already by Mr. Abdallah, and that's whether this tool applies to Ethiopia. you show seed distributors in Kenya, I believe. So for the moment, it looks like it's geared for Kenya. What is
Maybe I can answer that question, Win.
Please go ahead.
Yes, the Forage Finder, we so far developed it, taken Kenya as an example country, but if farmers find it interesting or farm coaches find it an interesting tool, we have already started basically including other countries as well, because there is an option within the Forage Finder to select the country where you are living. And of course, first we had to develop the model, the format, and then the next step is include the information of the forages as they are available in other countries as well. So
thank you. Yeah, this answers a few questions in the chats. Which also indicates an interest from countries outside Kenya to have such a tool available for the forages available in their country. Yeah, thank you.
Maybe in addition, I can say that the reason that the idea of NEADAP to develop these tools is that we think they are of value to extension staff and to farmers. Well, NEADAP is a project. It is only there for a number of years. And these tools, like the Forage Finder and the Forage Cost Calculator, they can be freely downloaded. And we would encourage other stakeholders to show their interest to further develop the tools and bring them to good use in the different countries of East Africa. So we invite other people who are interested to further develop the tools, upgrade them, continuously make sure that the information that is provided is up to date. I think NEADAP is interested to hear from them how they could work together.
Yeah.
Okay. So should we continue with the forage cost calculator?
Please go ahead. Yes, we're we already passed the time available for this webinar, but let's continue.
Yes, I've just created an example so we can go faster. So on the first sheet, you'll see the introduction, which I'll skip for now. You can read on your own. So there's information about the plot that you can answer with your name, location, and you are given a position to add which kind of plot, or if you have several plots, the plot numbers. And the good thing about this, you can calculate the plot size in hectares and also in acres. First, you see here I have a comment where you can add comment just to remind me if I'm a user, what figures I'm using. And that one goes to, you can calculate it on the top side here on the ribbon called the surface calculator, whereby if you want to use feet or meters or acres, it can help you calculate. Let's say if it's acre, 1 acre. And when we calculate down here, you'll see 1 square feet, if you're using square feet, is equals to a certain number. Let me just take it back little. Acres, okay. So I get my acres is 1 acre is equals to 0.4 hectares.
Okay.
So with that figure, I can use this to help me calculate the cost of producing forage under 0.4 hectares. So if the forage example is maize, where you have a list, and of course more can be added. I've used maize silage as an example. It's an annual crop, so you can have a position to add whatever you want there. If you're using boma rods, you can say perennial. And for this farm, I am leasing it at 5,000. So in mind, I'm going to do this cost will be distributed for 3 years if it's about preparing of land and such. So the next sheet is the cost of pre-planting cost. And the pre-planting costs, we have several columns. And on the rows, we have the main sections, which are the soil testing. And on the soil testing, you can say if you did a soil testing and add the price at this point. And we have 2 types of land. That is the preparation for cultivated land that has been cultivated before. And the next one here at 14 is preparation for virgin land. So if you're working with either, you're given a chance. For example, if there's a virgin land, there is maybe clearing of bushes, using herbicides, and all these activities that can be used. So I use the first one, like when you click, you'll find options that you can use here. That is the first plowing, second plowing, third plowing, and other activities such as harrowing. And if your first activity is plowing, you can indicate the price, and you're given an option of manual or mechanical. That is using a tractor or using people to dig the land or prepare the land without using a machine. So there is, for example, my example here, I'm doing it the second time, plowing, and then I'll do harrowing, and I have some prizes, which does not mean it's the same prices that is in the market, but the price that I'm just using for example. Other costs can be added for pre-planting, and you can name them there. Yeah, you can name them there so that you're sure of you've not calculated. You have calculated all the cost of pre-planting. For the first cutting, for example, if it's maize, you will just cut it once, and the yield from this cutting we are calculating in 0.4 hectares. That is 1 acre, equivalent to 1 acre. So we want to see the yield from the whole plot. That is 1 acre plot, and if you're not sure about what you have harvested in kgs, or if you have harvested and you understand, you can say this is 12,250 kgs you have harvested in this 1 acre. So if you want to, you don't know about that, and you want to calculate the silo or the bunker, the silage bunker, you can use above here. There is the volume calculator. Sorry, let's go here to the silage information. And on the silage information, you can use the volume calculator, whereby you say you have meters. Your bunker is, your pit is 5 meters by 5 meters by 2 meters. And this will help you to know the amount of volume, that is 50 square meters. And you can come and paste it here so that it can help you calculate the volume. The second thing down after getting the volume per square cubic meter is the mode of compaction. By tractor is said to be a good compaction. By barrels, where people are pushing the barrels, or by people stepping on top, it will help you calculate the volume. So this volume, we'll come back to the first cutting and paste it here. When you have it here, it will calculate for you automatically the amount of yield in kgs that you have in hectares. So if you're using acres, you don't have to worry, you just stick to this one. So other costs such as the planting costs, the seed costs, the planter. If you're using a planter or seed dropping, when you click an option, you'll get a lot of options here that you're going to use for land, for planting step. That is the base, fertilizer application, broadcasting if you're broadcasting. And for my option, I took the planter, or you can say people were seed dropping and it will be manual. But if you're using machine, you can select this option. So the prices will go here. If you have also manure, you're using manure, you can find it on the option and use manure and say the price of manure, and in comments for here, I've just added, is it your own, or have you purchased the manure, so that you can know what you've used per acre. So even fertilizer application and the method of applicating, if you have, is it manual, is it by machine, there's options to add. If it's fertilizer, you can even add the name on the comment so that you're sure what you used. When you go below, the subtotal has been calculated for that, for the planting section. Other information such as costs between planting and harvesting can be added on the bottom. For example, you can see there's the top dressing application. Let's click and you'll see more options here. There's weeding, there is a top dressing application, pesticide, manure application, fungicide application. All these activities, you can select them and add them on this list where you see select activity. I've just used one, and that is I use manual application of top dressing, and I can say this is 7,000 application plus manure. You can add a comment to explain what is the 7,000 or what you used. And maybe I used the fungicide or herbicide or weeding as the next option. So the sub total for this is 9,000, and this is the total for here. Then the next step is about the cost between planting and harvesting. And these are for example, I used harvesting. When you click, you get information about, is it chopping, is it cutting, is it turning the hay to dry? So I've used, because my example is maize silage, the first one is cutting. I used this amount of cutting, and then I did the chopping so that I can do my silage. At the bottom, sorry, my cursor is ahead of me. So at the bottom, there is a baling or cost of ensiling. Because we have maize silage, we are going to the cost of ensiling. If your example is pomerods, you can use the cost of baling up here. So I have selected in the drop-down list the polythene covers. You can have other options, such as the silage bag, the silage bale films, and such. There's additives such as molasses, and the compaction using a tractor, yeah, or even manual if you're using that in your farm. And then the subtotal of the cost of harvesting and then ensiling, you can have it at the bottom. So the next thing is we have information from the field library, and we have been referring to Rumen 8. This is just a summary of the dry matter, that is the grams per kg of us fed, and then your data, the one you have added. For example, my silage here, I have decided my dry matter was 34% or 340 grams per kg as fed, and then I have this is what is in the orange side, or the orange side is where the information that I got from the feed library, and my data is on the blue side, which I can edit, can easily edit. So after this, if you have the analysis, there's the output at the end. That is the last sheet. So this one is a summary of all the data that you have added. And you can see that I have the farm information that I added before. And then I have the overview. If you're having several cuttings, if it's a perennial grass, you can have all your inputs, your activity, if it's hay, if it's grass. And this is just a summary of the output and the activities. So down here is where you can calculate. Go slow.
You move a little bit to the left.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's a summary costs where you can have all the costs and the summary costs. And the information like the total cost that I used and the total per acre, total per hectare, and other inputs that you can see here and other activities. And it can help you calculate the cost per kg of dry matter that you've harvested and the cost per kg of megajoule, CP, and the potential dry matter intake and the cost of the fresh cut. So most of the research that we did for BAM scores, it was a little bit difficult to find this cost because most of the inputs or activities were not covered or the farmers did not record it or remember. So this tool has been a good tool to use when you're trying to find the cost of feeds in a farm so that you can calculate the ration using these summary costs here.
I see one question from Dr. Dereje. He's from Ethiopia. Can we use this tool in Ethiopia? That's his main question.
The Forage Cost Calculator is uniform. It can be used in any East African country and beyond.
And could you, in the currency used, row 7, I think there you can show the options. So if you want to calculate in birr or Uganda shilling or even euros in the Netherlands, there's one question from Tom. He says it's an excellent tool. How will the farmers also calculate the benefits? So Tom, maybe you can come in and elaborate on your question.
Yeah, thank you. I think usually we have seen the forage cost calculator, and of course, the farmers always, the interest for farmers is always to try to balance the cost and the benefit. Once they see the benefits outweighs cost, then they will go for that. But just out of curiosity, what is the best way to advise farmers on the benefit? That these are the costs, then your benefits will be like this.
The answer to that, Tom, is ruminate. So I have explained in my previous presentation that in ruminate, when you want to make a diet and you want to know the benefit of a forage within a diet for a dairy cow or a beef animal, for that matter, you need to know a good estimate and preferably an exact calculation of the cost of production. And in Kenya, but also in other East African countries, I noticed that farmers often don't know the cost of production, or they don't have that information readily available. And it is crucial if we want to advise farmers how to reduce feed cost or how to influence feed cost in a, for them, better way to increase margin above feed cost when feeding their animals. So the forage cost calculator is actually a tool that we want to use next to ruminate to give a better prediction of potential diets and the possibility to improve margin above feed cost with these calculated diets.
So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for their attention. I'd like to thank Mr. Geert, Jos, and Peris for their contributions, and Alex for your backup role.